John Henry's gonna walk you guys around the equipment, kind of explain a little bit of the our pickup points. There's some points under there where you can lift, and you're gonna be lifting a solid axle, solid traction motor, and then there's other points where you're just kind of wasting your time lifting because you're lifting against the suspension. It'll take forever. It's the equivalent of lifting a car from the bumper or lifting it from the axle. The axle is going to be the quickest way to get it up off the ground off of someone, right?
When you roll up to the scene, all 480 cables are live, including the ones right here on the front of the locomotive. Get communication from the engineer or the conductor if the HEP is up. HEP is the head end power, which powers 480 power to all the cars on the equipment. Once you get communication from the conductor or engineer that 480 power is down, then you can disconnect the cables if needed. So right here is the emergency fuel cutoff. There's 3 total on the locomotive. There's one right here and one directly on the other side of the locomotive. The third is located in the engineer cab area. When you press this button, it'll shut down all power to the locomotive, main engine, and to the HEP. You'll notice it when everything goes completely quiet and dark. All right, right here is our fuel tank. Fuel gauge is right there also. It holds anywhere from 2,000 to 1,600 gallons of diesel fuel. Right here is our handbrake. That chain is tight. That means the handbrake is set and brakes will be applied.
So real quick, this is the only wheels that get locked out because the only chain I see. Can you lock out the front wheels?
No.
Only the rear wheels get locked out.
Only these.
So if you lock these out and then you lift these, you better be chalking the front because you have no way of locking the front. Gotcha. Okay.
So more of the 480 high voltage stuff. So this is the comm cables that he was talking about earlier. Usually you'll see 2, one's red, one's yellow cable that comes out of these. And those are the low voltage ones. So you can come up here and just disconnect those and you're gonna have no issues whatsoever. Cutting lever for the coupler. Kind of want to stay away from that, but pull this. That will separate the locomotive from the car. It's your brake pipe and your main res. Brake pipe obviously is for your brake system. Main res also works with the braking system on passenger cell locomotives, but primary purpose is also for your doors and other hotel systems. These are your MU hoses. This is for a mower when you're connected to another locomotive. We have double heads set up, so typically those are never really hooked up. So these are the air tanks. So once those things drain down after it's been sitting for a couple hours, yeah, it's going to take a lot to build those things up. So all these cables are all high voltage. Basically, if it's power on here, it's going to be high voltage.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring out our airbags. We have one 90-ton airbag. We'll probably stack that with a 70. We got a couple 70s also. So we'll go with a 90-ton on the bottom, a 70 on top. We're gonna build a platform, a solid platform crib box. It's just long 4x4s stacked neatly together. And we're gonna build that platform up until we get positive contact onto your, onto the front axle, onto the traction motor. So we'll go to the base of the traction motor. We're going to lift with air. We'll have the controllers will be out here at about a 45 degree, past a 45 degree angle in a safe area. And we'll be doing the lift there. As we lift from that, we're gonna have struts, either hydraulic struts or air struts, following the load up. Those will be right here. We'll build a little soft bed for them here, a nice hard bed, sorry, for them here. And we'll be following up with those air struts. We'll send guys in momentarily every once in a while to give those collars a little spin. We'll go over them before we actually use them. And then thirdly, we'll be, and again, we're pretending there's a victim underneath the front tire. We'll be cribbing somewhere around here, right off of this truck assembly. We'll be cribbing with wood. And so that's what our plan is. For this exact call we had, we needed 1 inch. So doesn't mean that's the next call. The next call is you guys are on top of a car and there's somebody that we can hear inside the car. So that's the next call, and that's a whole different operation, and that may not be, we not be able to do anything with airbags. That's the other one that we need to talk about. But that's what we're here to do today, is we're here to lift this thing up 1 inch. So we would like to try the center of this to go off of your traction motor. We'd like to try that lift, number 1. And number 2, if we did have access, what did you call this? The bottom?
Journal box or tie plate?
Yeah, so we'd like to be exactly, the tie link or a journal box. We'd like to maybe lift off of that and see if we can just get the one side about an inch also and see. Again, on this last call, we weren't able to do that. We couldn't access that. That's right where the patient was. And obviously lifting this one over here is not going to do us anything because, you know, we'll get rotation. But we'd like to lift off of that and see if we can get it positive movement also. All right. If we have exactly what we had again, we're probably just going to move it. If we had someone that was stuck in between the two, we're not going to move it forward or back. We're going to have to lift it. Or if we had him underneath the front with a car or with anything else attached, we're going to have to lift it. So the option of us going back was actually, I still think was a good move, obviously. And we weren't ready at that second to lift 300,000 pounds or half of that, whatever you want to do math. But yeah, but we need to know that we can do it, and then the officer on scene is going to make a call. What's the right thing to do? I'll tell you what though, hopping up there and talking to that guy operating the train was the best first move we made. They got a ton of information. You got to go talk to them. Do not ignore them. They're in charge of the train, and he had a ton of information. Wasn't his first time hitting somebody. Wasn't his first time.
So you want to mark it on the shot?
I think if we were to pull up on this right now, we'd go with the 90 on the bottom and the 70 stacked on top, just like we did, and kind of use them both in unison. And we do it underneath the traction motor, just like we did. That's going to be the end of the day. That's how we're going to lift one of these things. So there's no rigs in the county that have a 90-ton airbag, unfortunately. So you're gonna have to call one of your local heavy rescues to bring that to the scene to lift this thing up. What we actually had, for those of you that haven't seen the pictures, again, we did a final report write-up on it after incident report, was the guy, and if this is the guy, he was laying underneath, he was trapped underneath the front wheel, but coming back a little bit of an angle. So what we just did right now would not have worked because we didn't have the room to do it. What we did to start this off with the 90 and the 70 in the middle would have worked. And just to touch on that, the 90 lifted this thing, no problem, right? We got a good 2 inches of the entire train lifting up in the air. We did get some suspension moving, but we were able to get what we wanted by having that. The problem with our 90-ton airbag, and I'm gonna look, but I don't think the 90 tons that are that big come in any different shapes. But the square, because of the way that the bottom side of that traction motor is built, wasn't able to get perfectly centered. That's why you had this side come up a little bit higher, quicker than the other side. So this side came up. It's because we weren't allowed to square up that big airbag. The 70-ton airbag, what can square up? So we just centered them both the best we could. Firefighter Goodman did that. But what we do next time, I think we could probably go double stack 270s and get a good solid center lift if we need to get the entire front up. Does that make sense to you guys? So 270s to get that thing all the way up. If we did need just this side to come up like we just did it, I think we do exactly what we just did, that very first lift. We take a 90 and then a 70 and we air those up, okay? And then we use that for the lift. So we know that we can lift the front of this thing up. If you have someone trapped in the middle that's not on the outside, where we have access to this truck assembly in the journal box, then we can do what we just did here. The bolts were in the way, but we used a 40, which a lot of our trucks in the county do have, not just Menlo trucks. There are other trucks I remember checking that actually up and down the county do have these. So that's a truck company evolution. No matter what on this call, I'd still call for your local heavy rescue. That would be over the radio from the initial arriving officer or captain or battalion chief. Call for a county rescue deployment. That's all you need to say. County rescue deployment, you're gonna get one of the heavy rescues with 6 guys on it. And this was a 40 and it fit perfect side to side. On the center of this side and the center of this side on all of our bags, just so you guys know, and this is a big time safety deal here. There's a little indicator, at least on the new bags. On the old bags there's not, but you guys see this center line here for all the fire department guys? And also on this side, the center line, that's your center point. So if we're gonna lift, right, off of the bottom side of this guy, we need to get, so in between those 2 bolts that we're trying to protect, we need to get whatever bag we're using perfectly lined up on that. If you're out a little bit this way, you're gonna pillow and you're going to spit a bag out. Fact, it's going to happen. It's not that it might happen, it will happen. So that's gotta be perfectly centered. And ask me how I know on that one, and we've tested that theory and come up short on it. So just be a heads up. There's another reason why they have that X marks the spot, right on the center. Has to be on the center. So anyway, there you go. The 13-ton, you said you think it might work. I think it might work too. I just feel like we're kind of, we're kind of playing against the odds there. We're gonna try something that might work instead of go with something that can work. So again, just to reiterate, big boy airbags in the center, got the front up. 40-ton rectangle that just fit up under there. Matter of fact, if it was another inch wider, we probably wouldn't have been able to use it. But that 40-ton under there, Paratech, fit perfect and long-wise. We're able to get 1 wheel up off the ground. It actually lifted that pretty good. So for the Caltrain guys, that's what the local fire departments can do for you on one of these incidents. And for the fire guys, now you know what you need to actually make it happen, which is good because this goes right through our backyard, right? Hey, for those of you that didn't know, I didn't know. So they're mechanical quarters, right? Where they work on these things, San Jose, correct? Right. San Jose. But their headquarters for where a lot of the other stuff happens for us is right here.
This is the MOW's, the track maintenance facilities here.
Right here.
Right
Got
next
it.
door to it is the control center. So if you ever get any phone calls from the control center,
That's
saying,
coming
hey,
from
I
right here.
need EMS at a station, it's coming from
It's coming from right here. Okay, got it. Awesome. Another big thank you to Caltrain. Thank you guys for letting us come out here, man, and play around. That's a lot of weight to be moving around. So I'm glad we kind of got together on it and did it. Successful. No one got hurt.
Good job.
Awesome. Good deal. Thank you guys.